Welcome to DeVance Electronic Lifestyle. I'm Matt DeVance, and today I am honored to be sitting down with Mike Holzman of Mcintosh, my Mcintosh rep that we've known for a while. So thank you for taking the time to sit down with us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I think our audience is pretty well aware of Mcintosh. They've been around since the 50s. Let's go into a little bit about what is going on with Mcintosh today and how they're, getting through some of the shortages that everybody's going through and working through those things, and just what's the mindset of Mcintosh and kind of the direction where they are today.
Sure. Well, first of all, Mcintosh is facing a significant back order issue, but it's not related to parts availability. It's really related to demand. So the demand for Mcintosh products over the last couple years has probably quadrupled. And all Mcintosh for worldwide consumption, let's call it, is hand-built in Binghamton, New York.
Yeah.
Every voltage of every product, 7 different voltages for worldwide consumption, is built in the Mcintosh factory in Binghamton, New York. So you can imagine that as much as we've increased our appetite for Mcintosh in the United States, so has the rest of the world, to the level of 4 times the normal flow of production and business with the company. So it's created a back order problem, but not a parts shortage issue with us, because almost everything we build is from scratch, from bare wire and bare metal to the final product that is built for the consumer.
Right, it's all handmade.
All
Still handmade in the USA.
Yep, everything. From cutting, we cut glass in the factory. We make SMT boards in the factory. We do wave soldering in the factory. We powder coat our cases for our transformers. We cut stainless from sheets. We do cold rolled steel to, we cut that for our chassis. Everything that Mcintosh does is from scratch and by hand in that factory.
Nice. Yeah, I got to take a tour of the factory. It's probably been 6 or 7 years ago now, but man, is it amazing. And just one of the most amazing things I came away with was the tenure of the employees that Mcintosh has, where you have these women that have been working there, whether they're doing the power supplies or the transformers and things like that, and now they have their kids working there. I mean, that was just amazing to me.
We actually have several 3-generation family members working in the Mcintosh factory. So we have grandparents, parents, and grandchildren.
Wow.
All working, they're of age, legal age,
Right.
though. It's not like other countries, but
Right.
Mcintosh has a long history of families coming to work at the factory with other family members.
Yeah.
Another thing that you mentioned was, you went to the factory 6 or 7 years ago. I was just at the factory, and we have a huge amount of capital investment that Mcintosh has made to help produce more products, and that includes 3D printing machines, brand new 60,000 PSI water jet machines. We just put brand new ones in. We have a brand new extension to the factory that is in the midst of being built right now, that we're going to have for all of our metal presses and machines that form chassis in the stainless. So there's a huge expansion of the Mcintosh factory for that, as well as warehouse expansion. As you know, everything is shipped right out of the back of Mcintosh for worldwide production.
Right.
So there's just been a tremendous amount of capital investment, even simple things that you wouldn't think about, like powder coating, which we do powder coating, which is a really great way to paint all of our transformer cans and chassis. We actually powder coat, paint them in our own facility. So everything is done in-house.
Yeah, truly handmade. let me ask you, it's kind of a two-part question. If somebody is new to Mcintosh and wants to get into Mcintosh, what do you think would be the best way for them to do that? And then the second part of it, somebody that's very experienced with Mcintosh and has Mcintosh for a very long time, what should they be looking at to maybe update their system or add to their system?
Well, I think if you're new to Mcintosh and you're just getting into the game, and this is not inexpensive equipment, but it's equipment that is built to last a lifetime. Mcintosh products that were bought in the early 60s and on can be still repaired and functional here in 2022. We don't actually know how long Mcintosh products will last because it's only been about 76 years. So we tend to believe that as your initial investment and your first baby of Mcintosh should be something like an MA352, which is a integrated amplifier. It's a hybrid design. It doesn't have digital inputs, but it's a fantastic analog hybrid amplifier that'll give you massive amounts of power, clean sounding audio, and highly functional.
Yeah.
And gorgeous looking and built to last, outlive your life. We always tell consumers that when you buy Mcintosh, you should put it in your living will and trust to give it to somebody you love, because it's probably going to outlive your life.
Yeah.
I know it's going to outlive my life.
And I do have quite a few clients that are come in that are new Mcintosh owners, and they're new Mcintosh owners because they said, my dad had it, or my grandfather had it, or their uncle had it. Somebody in their family had it when they were growing up, and it became kind of a goal for them. And they feel like I've kind of arrived. I'm at the point where I can have something finer, I can have something nicer, more luxurious, and I want to enjoy it. And this Mcintosh piece is going to be that for me.
Right. And you make a really good point, Matt, because if you're a recipient of inheriting Mcintosh equipment from your grandfather or great-grandfather or father, and you get the equipment and it's obviously still going to work and be functional, you want to add some new equipment to the equation. Old Mcintosh and new Mcintosh look the same.
Yeah.
So unlike most manufacturers that change their faceplates and change from black to silver to gold or whatever they decide to do, with Mcintosh, you can take something that's 30 years old and put it with something that's 3 days old, and they look the same, they look rather uniform, and it's really a beautiful story to have products that don't lose their look and design, and they maintain that standard and will continue to do that forever.
Yeah.
Mcintosh products will always be, a certain size and always have glass and always have the right dimensions, and all of it will be able to be used with other Mcintosh products.
So the second part of that question, an advanced Mcintosh person that has a bunch of Mac or has had it for a while, and it's time for an update to their system, or they need to add something fresh to their system, where should they look?
There's a lot of different ways to look at it. First of all, if someone has older Mcintosh preamps, they're going to want to jump on a new preamp that has new digital inputs for all of the digital type of formats that we're experiencing today, whether it be streaming in audio or streaming through your television through an HDMI. We have preamplifiers that'll actually produce the Dolby signal. It'll process Dolby into channel through the preamplifier, and you can have a wonderful home theater essentially with a 2-channel system because of the way that Dolby has algorithms and the way that the sound comes out through the streaming.
Right.
And you're going to get an incredible experience, not just 2-channel, but with a theater-like experience with these new preamplifiers. But a lot of customers are also upgrading their amplifiers. often with Mcintosh, a customer will buy an entry-level amplifier, and it might be a DPM type amplifier. It's a dynamic module amplifier, and they'll move up to what we call autoformers.
Yes.
And when you step up to autoformers, we call that being in the club,
Right.
because autoformers are incredible amplifiers that basically provide the consumer the capability of changing out their loudspeakers whenever they want to for the rest of their lives, and no matter what the loudspeakers requirements are in terms of impedance and demand, that amplifier will be able to produce it specifically to the impedance demand of the loudspeaker. So an autoformer will produce a 2 ohm, a 4 ohm, and an 8 ohm output for the speaker's demand. So if you have a 4 ohm speaker, you go to the 4 ohm tap and the common tap, and you get all the power you paid for.
Right.
You buy a 200 watt autoformer amplifier from Mcintosh, you get 200 watts of power at 2 ohms, 4 ohms, 6 ohms, 8 ohms. You're never looking at a doubling of power and trying to figure out what actually is the power that I'm going to get out of these loudspeakers. You're always going to get full power out of Mcintosh. So that's an upgrade that a customer that has had Mcintosh products would want to jump up to and go into an autoformer.
Right.
Or maybe a quad balanced autoformer like the MC462, which is as quiet and as powerful, dynamic headroom extension as any amplifier can give you. One thing that consumers should know about Mcintosh amplifiers is that they're very neutral sounding because they're not colored in the way they produce sound. They're intended to give you the sound that was created by the artist.
Yeah.
So as the music was intended to be delivered to your ears is how it comes through a Mcintosh amplifier.
Yeah, being in the industry as long as I have, I definitely have experienced certain amplifiers have their own tonality to them. Some of them are a little darker sounding, some of them are a little brighter sounding, and then once you understand that, then you have to start focusing on what speaker can I place with this amplifier, because you don't necessarily want to have a bright sounding amplifier with a bright sounding speaker. Exactly. You know, and things like that. So it sounds like Mcintosh kind of figured that out, and it's up to you on what you want your speaker to do. If you want a bright speaker, you'll get a bright speaker. If you want a kind of a dark sounding speaker, you'll get a dark sounding speaker. The amplifier is going to just kind of stay out of the way.
Exactly. So besides upgrades in preamplifiers, we've had upgrades in amplifiers as well. There's some other things that have changed for owners of Mcintosh amplifiers from the past that they would want to upgrade to the future, such as new LED lighting, more dynamic headroom, more output of power, and a lot of protection circuitry built into Mcintosh that are patents, such as we have a couple of really important ones. One is called PowerGuard. PowerGuard keeps you from overdriving the amplifier and creating basically pure distortion through the loudspeakers, which will destroy a loudspeaker very quickly. We call that clipping. So we prevent clipping by putting in PowerGuard, which pulls the power back when it sees that you're going into a clipping state. And then you'll see little orange lights flashing in the front of the amplifier, and it's saying, hey, turn the power back down a little bit. You're kind of going a little nuts here.
We can go to 11. You're trying to reach 12.
Well, you know, there's no limits for kids, right?
Right.
So when the mice will play when the cat's away. So when the parents are out and the kids are home and they're going, there's just not enough power here. Well, the truth is there's probably more power than you can imagine, and the speakers are being tested to the nth degree, and the amplifier is being pushed beyond its limitations. Right. But that protection circuitry has saved a lot of speakers and a lot of amplifiers. And there's another wonderful feature. It's called Sentry Monitor, and it's a way that we basically control and make sure that you do not do what's called a dead short, which can happen pretty easily. And a really good example of that is my golden retriever. Last weekend, I was fetching with her, and she popped the ball up, and it went right behind the speaker of my gear. My speakers are plugged in with banana plugs, and she stepped on right. That's where the ball was, right by the plugs. She popped them out, and they were laying on each other.
Right.
I had a dead short.
Right.
But Mcintosh amplifiers can see that dead short, and it'll protect the loudspeaker and the amplifier, especially the amplifier, so that it doesn't blow up and become disabled the rest of its life.
Right.
Basically, you just plug it back in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that is a huge benefit for consumers to have that technology built into that product.
Right. And you just maybe play with the dog in a different area next time.
Well, if you're smart, you will, and if I'm smart, I will, because that was a pretty stupid move on my part. But, you know, she just had to have me throw the ball.
Right.
And I don't think she can see as well, so she just it just popped off of her nose and had to go right behind my loudspeaker.
Of course.
And she went, for, you know, a 90-pound dog pressing on cords, on cables, gonna pop them out.
Sure. One of the things too, you said about the new Mcintosh products having LEDs. I will say, I've been in the industry almost 30 years now, and really, one of the main things I can think about on gear that's been around for a while, or back in the day, that goes wrong with them was just the bulbs, that lit up the display. And that's no fault of Mcintosh. That's just inherent of a light bulb. You think about a bulb is going to go out eventually, and then so those bulbs go out, and so people, the product still works perfectly, but the lights on the front have gone out, and so. I know that those can still be repaired and everything, but with LEDs, now you just increase the longevity even further by putting LEDs as opposed to bulbs in them. So now, like you're saying, with being able to pass products down or have them for who knows how long.
Yeah, we went from bulbs to LED technology when it became available. And LED technology has, and you know this because you do lighting and control, LED technology has improved tenfold. And so even Mcintosh products that have LED lighting in them that are 10 years old, 12 years old, will probably not look as bright and vivid as the new LED lighting. So some customers might say, well, my meters on my old Mac doesn't look as good as the meters on my new Mac. Well, it's just basically an evolution of lighting.
Yeah.
And we can't control that, but the new LED lighting is so good that we're pretty confident it'll last way longer than the. I don't know if the LED lighting will ever fail and need to be replaced, but I can tell you that the new LED lighting is even more vivid, brighter, and that brightness, and it is our core color that we dial in. It'll still be a brighter, more vivid parameters. Sure. And a lot of consumers have old and new, so they have a lot of Mac meters in their systems, and some look brighter than others. It's just it's still blue meters, and everyone loves.
That's right. You're still a Mac client.
That's right.
You're getting all the best.
I'm a blue meter guy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time today to sit down with us and kind of go over the state of Mcintosh, if you will, and where we are today. And thank you for joining in and being able to listen to us rant a little bit about it. And we're blessed. And come in. We have a bunch of Mcintosh products on display. We're one of 2 of the Mcintosh Platinum dealers in DFW. So we'd love to have you. Come on in. Let's have some fun. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Alrighty.